What's up, guys? This is my review of Orphan. Yeah, I really only saw this movie because, well, it was a very lacking weekend for me, and things I really wanted to see. Very unanticipated weekend. There's G-Force, The Ugly Truth, and Orphan. And Orphan had the highest rated, but still rotten rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So I figured I would just check this one out, but I'll probably wind up seeing the other two. I mean, this is one of the horror movies that's not big with stars, which is a good thing, because when they throw random stars in horror movies, they don't really work out this well. And the little girl does a very good job at being creepy. I mean, in the history of horror movies with creepy kids, this is nothing truly remarkable or memorable. There are some good thrills in here, but, you know, there's a lot of just stupid pop scares. There's a lot of things that you're gonna jump at, but then afterwards you feel stupid for jumping at, like most modern horror movies. Now, personally, I would much prefer a horror movie that really engages you so much in the story, and the story has a twist or a thrill that provides more of a scare and a spine-tingling moment than a pop scare does for me, which we don't have very many of those movies. We have and then there's the other side where it's so demented and so crazy that you feel overwhelmed by the insanity of it all, which I can feel for some horror movies, but this movie falls short of being a great horror movie by running into cliche but then trying to avoid it, and then falling into a new sort of bad for horror movies. Now, don't get me wrong, this is one of the better ones of the year. It does not beat Drag Me to Hell, which is one of my favorite movies of the year, and it's just a very great horror movie because Sam Raimi does a really good job with this. But this movie is really a mess. It's a lot of story thrown together that you could work out to be something more and have a lot more of a, I don't want to say twist, but more engage. And it doesn't really have as much intrigue as it should because it falls short sometimes. It builds you up, but it lets you down without any sort of shock, thrill, or just, you find yourself lamenting the fact that you got so engaged onto that point you got on, but it led you nowhere. Now, acting was okay. It was nothing special. I don't know the little girl's name, but she did a pretty good job being creepy here. The scares, minimal. It does a better job than a lot of it's definitely better than The Haunting in Connecticut. Haunting in Connecticut was just a god-awful movie, and just a terrible horror movie that all my friends like, because, I don't know, they haven't seen any good horror movies, and they think all of, the cult classics or anything like Halloween or the original Nightmare on Elm Street are all just crappy, because they don't really know what a good film is, but whatever. And The Unborn, The Uninvited, this was just so much. I can't say better, but it is definitely up there with one of my, least hated. I mean, Drag Me to Hell was great, but this thing, if you follow a story, don't go in looking exactly for a story, because it's kind of all over the place and shattered in pieces. There's kind of a big conclusion, which, I mean, I enjoyed this movie. It's a fun movie. You don't feel as scared as you probably should. It's not as scary as the trailer looks. Some of the climax was doled down a lot for some reason. They kind of cut away from a lot of things, and then a lot of things were dragged on. If you like these kind of movies, I mean, you could have a lot of fun with this. The original advertising is a lot different than what this film turns out to be, but, it's an average horror movie. And it's one of those summer movies that are released in summer. It's not really a summer movie. It's kind of a summer horror that doesn't go around that well, but it should do okay at the box office. It's not going to be that popular. I mean, Drag Me to Hell just dropped. I mean, it did okay opening weekend, but it fell out shortly, which is pretty sad because people really gave this movie a chance. A lot of people liked it. I mean, for a lot of people, it didn't get Sam Raimi's style, but this thing doesn't have that much style as it falls back to old, not cliche, but old rhythms and old, it falls into a pattern where it's just that even the direction is the same. It feels like you've seen it before. It feels kind of like the crappy remake of The Omen, which it was okay. It is nothing as good as some other creepy horror movies. So I'm gonna give this movie a 6 out of 10.